You see, in life, the moments that truly change us never arrive according to our plans. We imagine love will look a certain way, appear at a certain time, and make perfect sense within the boundaries of what we've been taught. But then, someone walks into your world and everything shifts. Suddenly, all your rules, all your timelines begin to dissolve. You start questioning what time really means, what age really signifies, and whether love has anything to do with logic at all. It feels like an accident, doesn't it? A coincidence that seems too perfect to explain. But maybe it isn't an accident. Maybe what we call coincidence is simply God remaining anonymous, quietly weaving two souls together when the clock isn't watching. We humans love to make sense of things. We make plans, we set expectations, and we convince ourselves that love must obey reason. But love in its purest form is not of our making. It comes from somewhere higher, deeper, beyond reason, beyond order.
It doesn't ask for permission to arrive. It simply enters unannounced, like a gentle tide that reshapes the shore without asking. And when it comes, it carries with it the force of something divine. Age, distance, difference, these are surface details. What matters is that sudden recognition between two souls who see each other beyond the boundaries of time. That moment of recognition is not random. It's divine timing, the alignment of something eternal. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And that's exactly what divine connection does. It transforms. When you meet someone who stirs something deep inside you, it's not always about romance. Sometimes it's about awakening. Sometimes it's a mirror sent by God to remind you of something sacred within yourself, something you had forgotten. That's why love often comes in forms we never expected to accept. The heart doesn't calculate. It doesn't keep score. It simply recognizes something familiar, something eternal. It whispers, "Ah, there you are." You see, love isn't about finding the perfect person at the perfect time. It's about recognizing that the connection itself is a message. A divine whisper saying, "Pay attention. I'm speaking to you through this person." We think we fall in love by choice, but often it's grace. We don't choose who touches our soul. We are chosen by it. And that's why two people, no matter how different, can feel at home in each other's presence. Because it's not the body that connects them, nor the years. It's the timeless recognition of spirit. Yet most people fear what doesn't make sense. We resist what doesn't fit into our plans. We ask, why me? Why now? But love isn't meant to make sense. It's meant to awaken you, like to challenge the boundaries of what you thought. You knew about connection, about yourself, and even about God. Divine timing rarely feels convenient. It arrives to teach, to reveal, and sometimes to disrupt. Because without disruption, we never evolve. Imagine that time isn't a straight line, but a vast ocean. Two souls might drift apart for years, maybe lifetimes. And yet, when the waves align just right, they meet again. That's divine timing. Not the alignment of clocks, but the alignment of souls. When that happens, you feel it instantly. The heart knows. There's no logic, no debate. Only a deep sense of remembering. You might look at someone and think, we're from different worlds, different generations. But love doesn't see generations. It sees essence. The purpose of that connection may not be to fit into society's expectations, but to expand your understanding of what love really is. God doesn't make mistakes when He brings people together. Sometimes He sends someone older to guide you toward wisdom. Sometimes He sends someone younger to remind you how to feel alive again. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Perhaps these unexpected loves are simply the universe's way of revealing what's hidden inside you. They awaken parts of your soul that were asleep, drawing your attention to wounds that need healing and desires that need expression. Love becomes the mirror of your inner world. It shows you what you value, what you fear, and what you've been avoiding. It softens the heart and breaks the walls that logic built. The age difference, the circumstances, they are not obstacles. They are instruments, tools used by the divine to teach patience, compassion, and surrender. When something feels powerful and confusing at the same time, it's usually real. Confusion is not always the sign of error. Sometimes it's the sign that something profound is happening, something your mind cannot yet interpret, but your soul already understands. That's the paradox of divine love. It feels impossible, yet it's the most natural thing in the world. So perhaps instead of asking whether this love is right or wrong, ask what it's here to teach you. Is it here to open you? To soften your defenses? To show you that connection doesn't obey age, but alignment? When love enters your life in an unexpected form, don't rush to label it. Sit with it. Let it unfold as it's meant to. Because sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply allowing something beautiful to exist without needing to control it. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Maybe that's what love is trying to do. Awaken you. It's not here to make sense. It's here to make you conscious. Conscious of what's sacred, what's divine, what's real. Because love that defies logic isn't a mistake. It's grace disguised as surprise. It's God reminding you that His timing isn't yours, and that His ways are higher than your understanding. You don't find this kind of love, it finds you. And when it does, it changes everything. As Jung also said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And sometimes, love, especially the kind that doesn't make sense, is the very thing that helps you become that person. The one who no longer lives by fear but by faith. The one who understands that divine love doesn't always come to stay forever. Sometimes it comes to change you forever. Because in the end, love that arrives outside your logic is not here to break you. It's here to wake you. To turn your plans into prayers, your expectations into surrender, and your understanding into wisdom. It's strange, isn't it? How love can arrive in silence, quietly, almost shyly, and yet rearrange everything within you. One day you're certain of your path, your ideals, your boundaries, and then suddenly, someone appears and all those carefully built walls begin to soften. You start to feel things you didn't plan to feel, and you realize that no amount of logic could have prepared you for this. The world teaches us to measure love by appearances, by age, by timing, by circumstance. We're told what is acceptable, what is proper, what fits neatly within the lines of reason. But love has never been reasonable. It was never meant to obey our rules. It moves with its own intelligence, guided by something unseen yet unmistakably real. You meet someone, and it doesn't matter that they're older or younger, from a different world or a different story. There's something in their eyes that feels like recognition, like you've met before in a place beyond memory. That's not coincidence. That's soul memory. The heart recognizes long before the mind understands. It's not about romance alone, though sometimes it is, but about awakening. When two souls truly meet, they don't simply exchange affection, they exchange light. They activate one another. They remind each other of forgotten truths, hidden strength, and untapped tenderness. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. In divine love, that transformation is inevitable. It's not always comfortable. Transformation rarely is, but it is always meaningful. Because what love really does is strip away everything false. It unmasks you. It reveals the you that existed before the world told you who you should be. That's why true connection feels so raw. There's no performance, no pretending, no need to impress. When you stand before someone who truly sees you, you can't hide. You feel both exposed and safe. That paradox, vulnerability mixed with peace, is the signature of something sacred. Love like this often challenges our understanding of right and wrong. The world may look at it and say, "This doesn't make sense." But the heart doesn't care about sense. It cares about truth, and truth is not bound by the conditions of society. The heart's wisdom exists outside time. It knows something the mind cannot explain. Sometimes the one you're drawn to isn't there to complete you. They're there to mirror you. They reflect back the places in your soul that are waiting to be seen, healed, or embraced. The attraction you feel might not be about desire. It might be about destiny, about remembering who you are, That's why resisting such connections only creates confusion. You cannot fight what was written into your soul's design. You can only learn from it. Whether the relationship becomes lifelong or lasts only a season, its purpose is always growth. Divine love has a strange way of teaching through contrast. It shows you joy, then tests you with uncertainty. It fills you with peace, then exposes your fears. But in doing so, it invites you to evolve, to move beyond attachment and into awareness, to shift from asking, "What do I get from this?" to asking, "What is this teaching me?" And sometimes what it teaches you is surrender, the art of trusting what you feel even when you cannot define it, of staying open even when others question your path. That's not weakness, that's faith in its highest form. The beauty of divine timing is that it doesn't operate by convenience. It operates by purpose. You might meet someone at what seems like the wrong time, when you're not ready, when they're unavailable, when life is complicated. But in truth, that's when divine timing is at work. Because the purpose isn't always to unite immediately. Sometimes it's to awaken. Maybe you were meant to cross paths to remember how to love again. Maybe they were sent to help you rediscover the softness you had buried. Maybe it's not about the relationship at all, but about the resurrection of your heart. Love that defies reason is often the most honest kind, because it forces you to confront yourself. You begin to see where fear has kept you small, where expectation has blinded you, where judgment has closed your heart. This is what spiritual love does. It breaks your patterns. It teaches you to love without possession and to trust without proof.
Carl Jung wrote, "Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking." The moment love enters your life, you realize how powerless control truly is. You can't command love to arrive, and you can't force it to stay. All you can do is honor it, hold it gently, let it breathe. Because divine love isn't about ownership. It's about expansion. It's about learning to see through God's eyes, to understand that every soul you meet is an opportunity to practice compassion, patience, and grace. Of course, not everyone will understand. The world will judge what it cannot explain. People will talk, opinions will form, and logic will try to interfere. But you must remember, their misunderstanding does not define your truth. What they see as strange, heaven may see as sacred. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what only the heart can comprehend. The real work is to stand in quiet confidence, knowing that what is divine will not require you to defend it. It will simply reveal itself through peace. The greatest challenge, then, is not finding love, it's having the courage to trust it when it doesn't fit your picture of how love should look. Because love that challenges you is the kind that changes you. It dismantles fear, expands your soul, and brings you closer to the divine essence that lives within you. Every true connection is sacred, no matter how long it lasts. It's a reminder that God speaks through human faces, that He hides miracles in ordinary moments, and that love is the most powerful way He teaches us who we are. So when love finds you, even if it makes no sense to the world, don't run from it. Listen, learn, let it soften you. Because divine timing doesn't follow human logic. It follows divine law, the law of the heart. And in that law, every meeting is holy. Every feeling is purposeful. And every love, no matter how brief or complex, is a part of your awakening.
There's something sacred about the kind of love that doesn't make sense to the mind but makes perfect sense to the soul. It doesn't shout. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It simply is. Quiet, undeniable, and deeply familiar. You might try to rationalize it, to explain why it shouldn't work, why it came too soon or too late. But the truth is, love doesn't check calendars. It checks hearts. We live in a world obsessed with reason. We want everything to add up neatly, including love. But love, especially divine love, exists beyond the reach of arithmetic. It's not about matching ages or perfect timing. It's about resonance, the invisible vibration that hums between two souls who recognize each other across time. You can't fake that. You can't manufacture it. You can only feel it. It's the quiet pull that says, pay attention. This matters. And when you do, you begin to see that what you've met is not just a person, but a reflection of something eternal. Divine connections are rarely simple. They tend to stretch you. They test your patience, your understanding, your faith, because they're not meant to entertain your comfort. They're meant to awaken your consciousness. Sometimes that awakening feels like falling apart, but in truth, it's a falling open, an expansion into a higher kind of love. When someone truly sees you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are beneath the noise, it changes everything. It's terrifying because it exposes you, but it's also freeing because it heals you. Most people go through life longing for that kind of seeing and fearing it at the same time. And yet when it happens, when someone looks at you and your soul says, "I remember you," you realize this is what it means to be alive. Love that transcends age, distance, and logic often has a healing purpose. One brings the wisdom of years, the other brings the purity of wonder. Together they form a balance that transcends understanding. One learns to let go of control, the other learns to trust the unfolding. Together they heal the illusion of separation. The older soul rediscovers youth, not the youth of body, but of spirit, the joy of curiosity, the thrill of new beginnings. The younger soul learns steadiness, depth, and the beauty of patience. They exchange gifts not through words, but through presence. In each other's reflection, they find the missing pieces of their own evolution. This is why such connections can feel otherworldly. They don't always come to last forever. They come to last long enough to shift something fundamental within you, long enough to remind you that love is not limited by form, long enough to help you become more whole. It's easy to mistake this kind of love for ordinary attraction, but if you look closer, you'll see that what you're experiencing is not chemistry. It's recognition. It's the merging of two energies that were destined to meet for a divine purpose. Carl Jung once said, "The reason for evil in the world is that people are not able to tell their stories." But the same applies to love. The reason we suffer in love is because we try to make it fit someone else's story, instead of honoring our own. Every divine connection writes its own chapter. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. The truth is, love that's meant for you will challenge you as much as it comforts you. It will ask you to grow beyond your fears. It will invite you to step out of the safety of the known. It will demand honesty, not perfection. It will strip away the ego's conditions and leave you standing naked in the truth of your soul. That's what divine timing does. It doesn't rush to give you what you want. It gives you what you're ready for. And sometimes what you're ready for is the lesson, not the lasting. It's the awakening, not the attachment. It's the transformation, not the transaction. Love that arrives by divine design doesn't ask you to control it. It asks you to trust it, to let it unfold, to breathe, to believe that even the pauses, the silences, the distance have meaning. Because what's built in spirit cannot be destroyed by circumstance. And yes, there will be moments of doubt. You'll question the connection, question yourself, question why it feels so strong yet so complicated. But the very presence of those questions is proof that your heart is being stretched into something bigger. The human part of you wrestles, but the soul part of you already knows. Sometimes God allows separation, not as punishment, but as preparation, because both souls need to grow before they can meet again in truth. What looks like distance is often divine timing at work. It's grace disguised as delay. The world may not understand this kind of connection. They'll see the surface and miss the sacred. They'll judge by appearances and miss the alignment. But you must not let their misunderstanding shake your knowing. Remember, the divine doesn't seek validation. It reveals truth to those who are ready to see. Patience becomes the proof of your faith. Because when something is real, it doesn't vanish. It evolves. It deepens. It matures in silence. Love that's meant by heaven doesn't fade under distance. It refines itself in stillness until both hearts are strong enough to hold it. The waiting, the wondering, the not knowing, all of it serves a purpose. It's teaching you to love without possession, to care without demand, to hope without desperation. That's spiritual maturity, the ability to love in freedom, not fear. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't that two people come together, but that they find peace even while apart. Because real love doesn't depend on proximity. It depends on alignment. When both souls are aligned in purpose, they are never truly separate. only walking parallel paths that eventually meet again in perfect timing. Divine love asks for your trust more than your understanding. It asks that you stay open, even when logic says close. It asks that you believe in what you feel, even when you can't explain it. It asks that you let go, not to lose, but to allow what's meant to return stronger. And when it does, when the circle completes, when divine timing ripens, when both hearts have grown into wholeness, the reunion doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like peace. It feels like remembering. It feels like home. Because love that was written by God doesn't rush. It doesn't fade. It doesn't need to be proven. It simply waits until both souls are ready to recognize what has always been true, that they were never really apart. Love isn't about finding the one who fits your plan. It's about discovering the one who fits your soul's rhythm. And divine timing ensures that when that rhythm is finally in sync, nothing can stop it. Not distance, not age, not circumstance. That's why you must trust the process, the silence, the separation, the slow unfolding. For hidden within that waiting is the most powerful kind of faith. The faith that what's meant for you will know how to find you, even across oceans of time. And when it does, it won't be by accident. It will be divine timing, right on time as it always was. Every love that enters your life carries meaning, even the ones that don't last forever. We often think that endings mean failure, but love doesn't fail. It fulfills its purpose and then transforms. Sometimes it stays to build. Sometimes it leaves to teach, but it always leaves you changed. When you begin to see love as a divine experience instead of a possession, you stop asking, why did it end? And start asking, what did it awaken in me? Because in truth, the purpose of love isn't to complete you. It's to reveal you. It shows you what you didn't know you could feel, what you didn't know you could forgive, what you didn't know you could become. When a person walks into your life and stirs something sacred within you, it's not random. It's an invitation to grow, to heal, to open. Sometimes that means learning how to love deeply, and sometimes it means learning how to let go gracefully. But both are holy acts. Both are part of your evolution. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that's what divine love does. It wakes you through the ache. The love that made you feel alive may also be the love that teaches you surrender. The heart learns its greatest wisdom in the space between joy and loss. You see, pain is not the opposite of love. It's the shadow that proves love was real. Only what touches your soul has the power to wound it. But even wounds have purpose. They let the light in. They remind you that love's deepest goal isn't happiness, it's transformation. When a connection ends, your mind might replay every moment, searching for closure. But closure isn't something given to you. It's something grown inside you. It comes when you realize that nothing was wasted. Every word, every silence, every heartbeat was part of a divine design shaping your becoming. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are also the ones who helped you awaken. They forced you to confront illusions you would have never questioned. They showed you the parts of yourself still ruled by fear or expectation. They taught you that loving deeply doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding yourself through the mirror of another. That realization, painful as it may be, is liberation. You start to see that love's purpose was never to give you permanence, but perspective. It was there to remind you of the strength you carry and the light you're meant to protect. The human mind craves control. It wants guarantees, certainties forever. But the soul knows that forever doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes forever means impact. Sometimes it means lesson. Sometimes it means memory that changes you. And in the divine order, that is enough. There's a quiet strength in letting go without bitterness. To look at someone who once meant everything and say, "Thank you for what you brought into my life." That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's the moment you shift from attachment to gratitude, from needing love to understanding it. The love that changes you most deeply rarely follows the script you wrote for it. It comes in unexpected forms at inconvenient times, through imperfect people, And yet, it does exactly what it was sent to do. It wakes your heart, reshapes your vision, refines your spirit. And then, when its purpose is complete, it often dissolves. Not because it was false, but because it was fulfilled. Divine love doesn't cling. It blesses. It lets both souls continue their journey, wiser, softer, more aware. It takes courage to see endings not as loss, but as completion. The truth is, nothing is ever truly lost. Love simply changes form. It becomes memory. It becomes wisdom. It becomes part of your spiritual DNA. The energy remains, even when the form has gone. Like light after sunset, invisible but still illuminating. Sometimes God removes someone not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because if that person had stayed, you might never have stepped into who you were meant to be. Love's departure often makes room for your evolution. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That's the essence of divine love. It gives you the chance to become. It teaches you that heartbreak is not the end of your story, but the start of your awakening. You start to understand that every relationship is a mirror reflecting the state of your own heart. The more you love, the clearer that mirror becomes. It shows you your shadows, your strengths, your capacity for forgiveness. And as you learn, you evolve. The most beautiful truth is this: divine love never truly leaves you. Its form might fade, but its imprint remains. You carry it forward in the way you speak, the way you touch, the way you forgive. Every love leaves behind a piece of eternity, and that eternity lives in you. The moment you realize this, you stop chasing love and start embodying it. You stop asking when it will come and start recognizing that it never left. Because divine love isn't something you find, it's something you remember. It's the energy that connects every soul, every encounter, every moment of grace. So when love arrives and when it leaves, bless both moments. The arrival shows you possibility. The departure shows you purpose. Together, they shape the masterpiece of your becoming. And perhaps this is what divine timing truly means. Not that love stays forever, but that it arrives exactly when your soul is ready to awaken. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. When you understand that, peace replaces longing. Gratitude replaces regret. You stop mourning what ended and start celebrating what began within you. Because love's purpose was never to give you certainty. It was to give you clarity. Every time you love, you become more whole. Every heartbreak cracks you open wider for light to enter. Every connection, no matter how brief, brings you closer to the divine truth. That love is not something you lose. It's something you expand into. And when you look back, you'll see that every love, the easy ones, the difficult ones, the ones that defied logic, and the ones that ended quietly, all carried the same message. You are being guided. You are being shaped. You are being loved by something greater than yourself. So trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the endings as much as the beginnings. Because in the grand rhythm of divine love, nothing ever truly ends. It only transforms, and when you can finally say, "I have learned, I have healed, I have loved," you'll understand what Jung meant when he said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's what divine love does. It makes you become. Not perfect, not complete, but awake. Fully, beautifully, courageously awake. And when you reach that place of awakening, you realize something profound. Love was never about finding the right person. It was about becoming the right soul, because the ones who touch your heart were never meant to complete you. They were sent to remind you that you were whole all along, and that in the end is the truest miracle of divine timing, that every encounter, every connection, and every goodbye was never random. It was all grace unfolding in disguise.